Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Allen McCulloman Regular Council meeting for today, the Thursday, February the 16th. I'll call this meeting to order at 12:30. And I'll do the territorial land acknowledgement. Before our meeting gets underway, I would like to formally recognize the traditional keepers of this land, and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nation, with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the township of Allen McCulloman is located on the Mississaugan-Assinippiq territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississaugan-Assinippiq. The township of Allen McCulloman respectfully acknowledges that the Mississaugan Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and the integrity for generations to come. Item 3, disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Deputy Mayor Stover.
Through you, Mayor Logal, to Madam Clerk. I have a pecuniary interest form that I'll be passing over. It has to do with item 11, agenda 11, and it's 11.1. And the reason is pending litigation with the library board. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. That'll be duly noted. Approval of the agenda as circulated. Agenda for the regular council session of Thursday, February 16th, 2023. Excuse me. Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular council session of Thursday, February 16th, 2023 be approved as circulated. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any additions or changes to the agenda? I don't believe so. All in favor? Motion's carried. Next, we have a presentation. And this presentation is brought to us by Catherine Barr, the accounting manager, and Natasha Dawood, regional manager of Impact. And we're going to hear about Let's Talk Property Taxes. So Catherine, you have the floor. Have you met everyone? Good.
Of what we do for you and some information and tools that you can access if you get questions from any of your constituents. Linda, can I just proceed with this? Okay. First of all, I would like to introduce my regional manager, Natasha Dawood, who is sitting in the back here. She covers Zone 3, our territory, which covers York region and Durham region, as well as the Trenton region. And that's my area of focus. And that covers all of Northumberland County, Hastings County, Prince Edward County, the city of Belleville, and the city of Quinte West. So first of all, I just wanted to say congratulations to you all on your election. And I do look forward to working with you in the coming years. And again, we stand to be a point of information for you, and please do reach out if you have any questions or you're struggling with anything. So MPAC, first of all, we are the largest assessment jurisdiction in all of North America. We are the Ontario property experts because we are responsible for assessing and classifying over 5.5 million properties in Ontario. These properties in total have a combined value of over $3 trillion, which generates close to $30 billion in property tax revenue annually. Last year, Ontario added over 45,000 new residential homes, which in total generated about $37 billion in new assessment. And again, every municipality uses our assessment to make informed decisions about their community, including the distribution of the taxes amongst their residents. There are 4 key players within the property assessment and taxation system, and all have a key role. The Ontario government establishes the provincial assessment and taxation laws. They do set the valuation date, and they also determine the education tax rates that you apply to your residents. They also oversee the Assessment Review Board, which is an independent adjudicator that it listens to assessment appeals. MPAC, we are an independent, not-for-profit organization that is funded by municipalities, and our role is to assess and classify all properties in Ontario in line with the Assessment Act and associated regulations. We are accountable to the province, municipalities, and stakeholders through a board of directors comprised of provincial, municipal, and property taxpayer representatives that are appointed by the Minister of Finance. Municipalities, as you know, you determine your revenue requirements to deliver the services to your residents. You also establish the tax rates to collect for those services. And you use our assessments and the established tax rate to distribute that tax requirement amongst your ratepayers. And property owners do pay for the property taxes for the services that they benefit from, but they also play a role in setting the market value through their activities of buying and selling properties. So maintaining property data on 5.5 million properties is very important. Property information is continuously changing. Keeping up-to-date information and keeping it correct is vital to ensure equity and reliability for our municipalities. And we do this by a variety of means. We respond to all inquiries from provincial, municipal, and other property owners as needed. We also sever and consolidate lands, and we apportion those values appropriately. We also capture any new construction, renovations, and any growth. And we also provide forecasts of that potential new assessment for our municipalities on an annual and quarterly basis. We process vacancy unit rebate applications as well as tax applications. We also provide up-to-date data through our Municipal Connect online portal for our municipal partners, so they can use that data for planning and budgeting purposes. And we also have statutory requirements, such as processing requests for reconsideration, appeals, and tracking school support. So day to day, we do track all sales, we monitor the market, and we also pick up new construction. And periodically, generally every 4 years, we update every property in the province through regular intervals called a assessment update or reassessment. Now, the province determines when this occurs. And the valuation date that we are currently using is January 1st, 2016, which is when we determine what every single property could have reasonably sold for that price in its current state and condition at that point in time. So the 2020 assessment update was postponed by the province due to COVID and to enable municipalities to respond to the challenges of the pandemic. And although the properties still continue to be valued based on this valuation date, this should not have a negative impact on municipalities, as MPAC is continuously updating and capturing any changes to properties. And we're picking up any new construction and renovations. And please note that any new construction is still based on a January 1st, 2016 valuation date, to ensure equity with existing properties. Now, everyone is to pay their fair share of taxes for the services that they benefit from. To do this, all properties are assigned a value at a common valuation date. As noted earlier, this principle is called current value assessment. This is the value or price a property might be reasonably expected to sell for if sold to a willing buyer, to a willing seller after appropriate time and exposure in an open market. How we derive our current value assessments, I will discuss in subsequent slides. As we await news from the province about the next reassessment, we remain ready to deliver when the province decides. We continue to analyze sales, process severances, consolidations, requests for reconsideration, manage appeals, inquiries, and any ownership changes, as well as picking up any new construction. And though the assessment update was paused in 2020, our work does not stop. Owners will still continue to receive property assessment notices if there are any changes to their properties, such as new ownership, school support changes, or a change in use, to mention a few. Just last November, we sent over 800,000 property assessment notices to property owners. So this slide is really just a visual to demonstrate what happens when a reassessment is called. So the province would establish a valuation date, at which point MPAC would notice property assessment notices stating the current value assessment and tax classification of a property to all property owners in the province. And if there is any increase from the last assessment update, that would be phased in over 4 years. And phase-ins were introduced by the province to provide taxpayers and municipalities stability and predictability. Conversely, if there is a reduction, it is applied immediately in the first year. So now I'm going to shift and talk about how we assess properties. And we have 3 categories, 3 methodologies. The first one is direct comparison, and this is used for residential properties. And this would include single family detached, condominiums, and vacant residential land. In essence, we analyze sales of comparable properties that were sold for similar or identical use as the property to be valued. And please note, we only use open market sales in our analysis. Now, residential values, we look at over 200 components when we value a property. But the 5 major factors comprise of location, where the property is located, the lot size or lot dimension, the quality of construction, the square footage of the exterior. We also look at the age of the property, which gets adjusted for any major renovations or additions. However, other factors, as I was referring to, could include whether a basement is finished, how many bathrooms are included, what is the heat source, is there air conditioning, what is the site pattern or traffic pattern, is there proximity to green space, or is it on a corner lot, just to mention a few. The income approach are used for properties that derive an income. And what we look at is fair market rental income that can be generated by the property. And then we deduct any operational expenses and then apply a capitalization rate. And these properties include industrial malls, multi-residential properties, office buildings, hospitality properties, as well as shopping centers. So what we do is we need to analyze the income and expenses, both for the property being valued and similar properties, to determine a net operating income and sale price to determine the capitalization rate, which results in our current value assessment. The cost approach is our last category, and this is for unique and rarely sold properties where direct comparison or income approach would not apply. So this would be for general purpose industrial properties, grain elevators, large and special purpose properties, warehousing, to name a few. And it's done on a 3-step process. First of all, we look at the cost to replace all buildings and fixtures. Then we apply deductions for any depreciation, i.e. age or functional or economic factors. And then we determine the land value and add the building to that to derive the current value assessment. Now, MPAC's role in the building permit process is vital. First of all, we turn building permits into new assessment, and growth is important in light of the postponed assessment update. So the sooner that we can get building permit data, the sooner we can turn that into growth, and the sooner you can realize new taxable revenue. Every year, MPAC processes over 300,000 building permits from across the province for new construction. And we are the only organization in Ontario to have this data for all building permit activity, which enables us to support modernization of data exchange. And what I'd like to point out is that currently we're involved in a pilot project with AMO, as well as their e-permitting provider, which is Cloud Permit, where we are automatically ingesting electronic building permit information as well as digital plans into our system. And so we've built an automatic programming interface to do that. So we're very excited about it because it has been very successful. And the good news is that other e-permitting software providers are approaching us to build the same. So we are expanding that to others. And I look forward to, again, reporting on that in the future. So after MPAC makes any change to a property owner will undoubtedly get a property assessment notice with those details. Now, owners may not agree with our opinion of value, or they may believe our data is incorrect. And we do encourage them to contact MPAC with any questions. And also, we ask that you, if you do get questions from any of your residents, perhaps you can help them by asking a couple of questions. First of all, could they have sold their property for the MPAC value as of January 1st, 2016? You can also encourage them to visit About My Property, which is our online portal developed for property owners to look at their value, to check the data that we have, as well as compare it to others within their municipality to see if they're in line. And if they are still not satisfied and believe it is incorrect, they're more than welcome to submit a request for reconsideration, which is a free service whereby we would review the assessed value and we encourage property owners to do that online. They can still do it via paper, but online allows a property owner to track its progress. Now, please note, requests for reconsiderations do have annual deadlines, so bear that in mind. We do have a video, but we will not play it today because we don't have internet. However, I just wanted to talk about the relationship with property value, the tax rate, and with the taxes that a property owner would pay. First of all, every year, municipalities determine how much money they need to raise from property taxes. And to pay for the services, you determine the tax rate needed to raise that value. So the property tax formula is very simple. We look at the assessed value that MPAC has established, times it by the tax rate that you have determined, including the education tax rate, equates the property taxes that you pay. However, assessments do distribute taxes. They do not determine the taxes that are to be paid. We do have a video, and as I was saying, we don't have internet connection right now to play it, but I do encourage looking at it because it's only 2 minutes, 40 seconds. It's been updated and it really outlines all of the scenarios to eliminate some of that fear about if a property value increases, what that means into property taxes. And this video is part of an entire communications toolkit that MPAC developed, which includes the video, print material, social media content that can be leveraged by municipalities and or newsletters or what have you to help owners understand the relationship between assessment and property taxes. And we've also developed some very succinct messages to dispel some of the myths related to property values in light of an assessment update when it is announced. For instance, my property value has doubled, therefore my property taxes will double. No, it's not a one-to-one relationship at all. So we do encourage you to use these, access them, and if you need any help addressing any questions, please do let us know. We're here to help. We also have our own resources. We have a monthly newsletter called In Touch, and I encourage you to subscribe to it. We talk about any changes to legislation, impacts of that nature, as well as projects that we're talking about that I referred to earlier, such as e-permitting. We also have an active social media presence on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. So we do have, again, a lot of materials on our website that I encourage you to access. Lastly, our contact details are there. And my last slide is really just to outline your assessment base as it was returned on the 2023 assessment roll. Now, this is really just to give you an outline of the distribution of your assessment base. And you have a large percentage of it related to farm, which is no surprise. However, annually, we do provide this information to you, as well as showing you any changes within your distribution that could have occurred during the year, as well as showing any growth that has occurred over the year. So with that, I will conclude and thank you very much for the opportunity and be happy to address any questions that you have.
Well, thank you, Catherine. Very good presentation. Certainly a lot to see there and think about. Does council have any questions or comments? Go ahead, Councilor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor Logo. So when I would say that when people think of impact, they probably don't want to think of it. But what I'm like the stuff that Catherine has brought here today, I wonder if we could put some kind of a package on our website that when people are coming in or going on our website, or is there some kind of package that when they come in for a permit that they could get this impact package also with the permit, so it doesn't scare them at the end of it all, because it's kind of part of the process. And I understand like we should have a partnership between the township and impact, that because that's a money value for us. And so there's a couple things here that we could do, you know, to maybe help that education part of it out for the residents of the municipality. And I think you know, just starting with something on the link and links to your social media, and just getting residents to understand that that's part of the package. There shouldn't be no surprises here. And then when impact comes knocking on the door, it's not some a bad visit, maybe if that's the right way to say it. So they actually know that it's happening. Because I think people in general, as you know, everybody's fighting to make ends meet and stuff. But I think at the same point, if they're doing renovations and adding new building and stuff, it's part of the process. And I think the more that we could educate our residents, I think we'd all be better off.
I'm sure there's lots of pamphlets available, is there not?
Yes, actually, there are pamphlets. If I could just elaborate on a little bit of what we do when we pick up permits. First of all, we've now instituted a new process where we send out letters in advance. We have two types of notices. One will be, we will be doing a property inspection, and please contact us. And why are we doing this? In relation to a permit. And the other letter is in relation to, could you please contact us to verify some information so we can, so when a property inspection is not necessarily warranted. So again, that is meant to enhance the customer's experience, but also advise them that we could be visiting them to pick up a permit. But there's also links to about my property on the notice. We have a QR code that they can follow. They also are encouraged to contact our office if they have any questions. And again, we will schedule an inspection convenient to the property owner. So again, we're trying to enhance the overall experience for owners.
Do you think, Mike, thank you. Do you think this presentation that was put on the website, that would be helpful to residents?
Yeah, I definitely like, I mean, you know, people have to look at it, maybe go through it a couple of times, but I think it's a great idea. And it does give them lots of links that they can go to, you know, and I think, like I say, again, the more we as council and the township can educate the residents that this is part of the process, you know, so there's no surprises. I think it would be, and then it, like the end result for Daryl would be like, you know, when he does his final inspection, that is processed along quickly and gets the impact, and so they can do their part. And I would also ask, like, I don't know if Daryl's on today, but if there's like if, you know, maybe even before Catherine leaves, I don't know if Daryl would have time that they could meet just to check to see if there's anything better we could do to make that transfer between the final. So is Daryl on today or no?
No, I don't think so, but Nicole,
Okay.
Nicole wants to make a comment.
Okay.
Nicole?
Through you, Mayor, I just wanted to advise residents that if they go to the township website, to the Living in Our Community section, there's a property taxes section in there. And under property taxes, there's a section on property assessments. And in there are links to MPAC's website. There's MPAC's phone number. We also have a link to MPAC's YouTube channel and the link to the video to learn how your taxes are calculated. So there are a number of links there. So if residents want to go there, they can access MPAC's website that way.
Thanks, Nicole.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I just, through you, Mayor Local, I just wanted to know how many taxpayer representatives do you have? Do you have one from each municipality on your board of directors?
Actually, our board of directors comprised of 13 members. And the breakdown of how many, is it 3? It's 3 property taxpayer representatives, as well as municipal and provincial appointees as well.
Okay, because you don't necessarily have one from this area on.
No, currently we do not.
Thank you. I was just wondering about
I
that.
can follow up with the details of the board members and their bios with you.
Sure,
after.
that'd be great. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
Through you, your worship, to Catherine, thank you for a good showing us all this. I do have a question. I had a neighbor a couple of years ago. I went to their house and they went on the MPAC site to compare. They can compare what they're paying in taxes to their neighbors. And they're in an executive home with a couple of acres, and they were looking at that there was a hobby farm down the street that sold for quite a large bit of money. And they're noticing that that hobby farm is paying a lot less taxes than them. So it's not just on the value of what it's worth. Is a farm or a hobby farm classified different than a residential? Do they
Yes.
get a different?
Perhaps if they're looking at the taxes paid, because all we would show is the sale value, right? The apportion value, it depends on if there's residential and also the use. Now, remember, farm properties, if they are eligible under the farm tax incentive program, do have a reduction in their taxes. They pay 25% of the residential tax rate. So it is up to Agricor, formerly known as OMAFRA, to determine which properties are eligible for that tax incentive program.
Okay, because they're not arguing with, they're looking at the 216 and saying, yes, my house could reasonably sell for that, but they're looking at down the street that a property sold for like 2 million dollars, and they're saying that person is paying half of the taxes that I'm paying. And it's a hobby farm, so there's 2 horses and a sheep or something. It's not like they're a farmer or whatever, and they're saying there seems to be something out of whack there, right? So, okay, thank you. Now, I guess they could still, though, appeal and go through the process. I guess his only thing is he's going to agree with you that his house is worth that, but why is my neighbor paying 50% less taxes? Could they use that excuse to you to have them come and reevaluate? Or obviously he doesn't want to say, okay, well, go over and check on Mike now because he's not paying enough, but
Well, obviously, we want to ensure that the data that we have is correct in relation to the equity of everybody else, right? That's what reassessments are for, is to ensure that all similarly constructed homes with similar uses are paying the similar taxes, right? So that's why reassessments are generally required every 4 years, but we await with bated breath on when the province will announce it, and we're ready to go with our values when that happens.
okay, so I can tell that person they could go on to their My Impact and they can do it through there electronically, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome.
Here, Catherine?
I actually have 2 questions. This whole process is based on permits. What happens when people build without permits?
Well, permit information is our trigger to visit a property. If we do not get any permit information from a municipality, MPAC will not be aware of that change unless we are advised by the municipality. So that's why it is critical to get permit information monthly, regularly, and complete information. And that's why I regularly generally do a semi or annual reconciliation of permits that we have received in our system versus what the municipality has. So there can be that internal reconciliation to see if anything has been missed, right? We also have on our website, municipalities can track how many permits have been issued and received through MPAC Municipal Connect, the portal, as well as track permits within our work site. So they can check that. So there are a number of tools to verify how many permits are in the system, what's been closed, what still remains open as well. But historically, yes, if there was a permit that did not make it to us, we would not have any information on to pick that up unless we were notified by the municipality.
Your second one,
And my
Mary Catherine?
second one, you mentioned about change of use, and it's a hot button issue here, but short-term rentals. Like what's happening on that front from MPAC's point of view?
Well, short-term rentals are still considered, you're talking about Airbnb, right? Short-term rentals are still considered residential. So they're classified as residential. And the legislation is such that if the property has 7 or more self-contained units, then it would move into a multi-residential tax class, which has a different tax rate. Or if it is a hotel, which has 6 or more, and it provides food, et cetera, right? So, and that's commercial. But for residential Airbnb or for Airbnb short-term stay accommodation, they are considered residential as there is no classification within the existing legislation to delineate those. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
I was going to ask you, I've seen the grain elevators in there. There's a big picture of the grain elevators.
Yes,
Are they considered part of a farming operation?
yes, they are, but they're assessed on cost.
Pardon me?
They're assessed on cost.
Oh, on cost.
Cost base, yes.
Okay, so they should still pay the 25%?
Yes, if it's a bona fide farm that it has the farm tax incentive approval from
Okay.
Agricorp, yes.
Okay, and the other thing, I think I heard you say that you compare properties, you could compare that property with any property in the municipality? Is that what I heard?
Yes, are you talking about for direct comparison for sales?
yes.
Yes, we use all open market sales in our analyses, but we also look at neighborhoods and market valuation areas as well. So
Okay.
we have a lot of sales investigations that we do in relation to whether it's included or not in our data analytics.
And you know, in the case of probably today, with the prices of them, I was listening to the news last night, they were down like $200,000 in a typical house across Canada. How can you compare those open prices, those prices when they're 2 years old? Or pardon me, that's not the way, but they've dropped that much.
Well, we would look at a range of sales within
Okay.
that given period, and normally or reassessments are every 4 years. So we look at the aggregate sale activity between those years. So you're right. Yes, there has been a bit of a slowdown in the market since the spring of last year, and that will be reflected in our data analytics when a reannouncement or when a reassessment is announced.
Okay. Anybody else have any? Oh, is it just-
Thank you. Thank you.
Mike, do you have something else?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Logo. I wonder if we could have staff ask Daryl to bring us back a quick report on the process of the permits from by the time they're issued to his last inspection and how it gets to Catherine's office. Only just to see if there's anything we can streamline that process, and maybe Catherine could help and assist us in that if we need to.
Absolutely.
You have a problem?
Yeah, through your worship. Yeah, I can definitely have our chief building official go through it. Provide a report of his process through the entire thing.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Catherine, thank you very much. Natasha, thank you for coming. It's a long trip, but we appreciate you both here. And if we have any more questions, we know how to get a hold of you.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
And I'll read the motion then. Be it resolved that the council of the township of Alma-Calderman receive for information the presentation from Catherine Barr, account manager, and Natasha Daywood, the regional manager of Impact. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Councilor Booth. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Thanks very much. Okay, we're moving on to item 6. And that's the approval of the minutes, and we have minutes from the special council session minutes of January 9th, 2023, as well as the regular council session minutes of January 19th, 2023. Can I get a mover and a seconder, and I'll read that? I guess I should read it first. Be it resolved that the special council session minutes of January 9th, 2023, and the regular council session minutes of January 19th, 2023 be approved. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councilor Booth. Seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Are there any discussions on these minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Next, we have business arising from the minutes. I guess we already did that. Seeing none, we'll move on to 8. And that's we have the fire department And we're going to ask council report from Dave Dawson, Fire Chief, dated February 16th, 2023, regarding the 2022 winter storm event. Dave, you have, you're there, Dave?
Yes,
You want to make your presentation and then we'll go from there.
we can do
Go
that.
ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Logo. Do you have the ability to share my screen, Yolanda? Please?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. There we are. Well, thanks, Mayor Lobo. After the county meeting, the CMC meeting, Northumberland County last month, Mayor Lobo had asked that I share the storm report that had to do with our response during December 23rd, 24th, and 25th. So this was prepared by Colleen McCabe, who is our Health, Safety, and Emergency Risk Manager for Northumberland County. What I did was I just shortened it down for you to give you kind of an abbreviated version of what happened during the storm of 2022. So the dates, as I indicated, were approximately the 23rd, 24th, 25th. There was a significant impact on our transportation infrastructure and hydro, with all of our down power lines and down hydro poles. It was declared a significant weather event by many municipalities and regions across the province. One municipality declared an emergency, and that was Crammy. They didn't go into full inaction of that, but they did declare an emergency, and that was because the amount of people that they had at their at one of their shelters. There was 4 reception evacuation centers opened across Northumberland County, and there was many mutual aid agreements activated between the different fire departments for assistance with different opportunities of equipment. So across the county, we had a VIA train that was damaged after striking a tree. There was approximately 250 passengers on this train. Unfortunately, the passengers ended up remaining on the train for a significant period of time until someone decided, I think it was about 15, 17 hours later, that finally a passenger had called 911 due to the conditions on the train. There were a number of buses, I remember the number to be around 5 or 6, that were diverted off the 401 at Colburn because the 401 was closed. This resulted in approximately 400 to 500 people in the evacuation center in Colburn. There was a 30-car train derailment in Grafton, which we were very fortunate to the fact that there was no significant health risks and or emergencies other than the train being off the tracks. And then there was a 20 to 30 car pileup on the 401 that was right around the Big Apple. There was many travelers stranded on roads, and that was due to snowplows having to be pulled off the roads due to the safety requirement of even having them on the roads and the visibility. There was widespread prolonged power outages. The fire department did quite a few wellness checks on people, certainly within days that followed the storm. And the LTC Homes was without power and heat, and there was some partial roof damages at a retirement residence in Coburg. The Northumberland role, the Northumberland County's role in an emergency is to provide support to the municipalities at the incident site or others. Alnwick-Haldeman did not need any additional services from anyone. CN was probably CN and Hydro would be the 2 outside agencies that we worked with specifically. And emergency social services, Northumberland County Community and Social Services, there's an agreement in place with all member municipalities if we require it. It's to activate reception and evacuation centers if we need it, and to coordinate or provide additional services if we require those. Red Cross provided some cots, blankets, pillows, hygiene kits, and staffing through volunteers to Colburn with respect to the amount of people that they had. And there was the Northumberland County Food for All that provided the food service for the evacuation center in Colburn. Brighton had started to open their evacuation center, but I think eventually in the end it was not needed. So the December 2022 storm response acting CMCs. So your people who are CMCs within the municipalities contact Northumberland County CMC during a bit of a, I guess what we would call a chain of command. Again, Alderman Calderman did not need to do that. And then if there's any required food, cots or bedding, etc., that was to, they have the ability to do that for up to 550 people. Foodland was a major provider and also provided a lot of bottled water. And there was several infants and kids, including 3 dogs as noted in the evacuation center in Colborne. The Northumberland CMC, what they did was they arranged for food for delivery, contact with a county plow to ensure that they could get to Colborne from Cobourg. So they had to be led there to plow the roads so they could get there. The Port Hope Fire Department picked up and delivered the Red Cross training or Red Cross trailer that had the cots and beddings in it. And the Red Cross provided further bedding, hygiene kit, and 4 volunteers for the night in Colborne. And then they identified that there was 400 people left in the center, but that number was actually closer to 500. Personal preparedness, we talk about knowing the hazards, knowing what hazards we may encounter. There is certainly a major popular belief out there that we will see a lot more significant weather events all year round that we do need to ensure that we're prepared for. We need to encourage our residents that they need to make a plan and that they need to have a kit. The fire department does have access to emergency preparedness kits and does do emergency preparedness awareness at least a couple times a year. And I do believe that we raffle off one of those kits. And that we need to be prepared. So 72 hours is the kind of the norm that is the expectation for people to have so that they can self-care for at least 72 hours before depending on some of our additional services. So that's a quick little synopsis of what happened here in Northumberland County. The slides that I took out of that presentation had to do with educating people on the necessity of emergency preparedness and also what council's requirements might be within that. In discussion with Pat Kemp, we had talked about perhaps it would be a good idea to have council join our next emergency management center exercise. Some councillors have been there and been through that exercise and training with us in review of our emergency preparedness plan. And that is something that we could certainly spend time on doing. I did feel that it was appropriate for today's meeting while giving you an update to actually dive into training you at the same time. So we can certainly look at that for a future date. So Mayor Logal, if there are any questions with regards to what we went through during the storm, I would certainly be happy to answer that.
Okay. Should I do that? Okay, I'm just going to read the motion, then we can open it up for questions for you. Be it resolved, the council of the township of Alma-Calderman accept this report as an update on the services provided by the Alma-Calderman Fire Department and other fire departments in Northumberland County during the major winter storm event that started on December 23, 2022. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Are there any questions or comments for Dave? Mayor Catherine?
I have both a comment and a question. So my comment is I was on the Climate Caucus Summit about 10 days ago now, and they brought up the need for communities to have a connection plan because with storms like this and the hydro being off, and so many people, and in fact, about 1/3 of our residents have moved here in the last 5 years. There's more and more people who are not connected to their neighbors. They're not living near their family, and to try and know who these people are and what kinds of needs. So that's just something to plant in the back of our head when we're thinking about this. And the other is when you did not include a number in your financials there. Does that mean there were no costs above and beyond what had been budgeted for then?
Thank you for the question through you, Mayor. There was no dollars budgeted for dealing with a significant storm event. We don't have a separate line item for that. That comes out of our direct operating expense. The expenses for, I'll say this, Alderwick Haldeman Fire Department got off extremely lucky in the county. Just because of the events that happened, and then when we had the trail derailment, having the assistance of CN. Our expenses for the emergency events that the fire department responded to were offset by the invoicing that was able to be done as a result of those who are not taxpayers of the Alderwick Haldeman community.
Thank you, Dave. Deputy Mayor Stover.
Through you, Mayor Logal. I have a bit of a, I think we need to do more for, because you, Mayor Logal, and myself were trying to place people. There seemed to be a disconnect. We need to have, if this ever happens again, where there is a storm, and Councillor O'Neill, you mentioned it, we need to have a place that opens up to take the overflow. The inn, they opened up. They were closed. They opened up and housed a couple of families. I don't know what the answer is, but the Lass and Ladle, it had 70 or 80 people in it at one point. There was a big jam up. I opened our church through discussions with you. It wasn't plowed at the time. There was another volunteer that plowed the church out, and we ended up with one chap coming into it, but there was a disconnect, and I think we have to have a plan of action of what happens when you've got people jammed. And you mentioned, I didn't see how bad it was. You were living that when you came down. So I think we need to look at something to make sure that we have something in place for the traffic.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think probably what Dave was suggesting and talk with Pat is, first of all, I don't believe this many people in this council have gone through the emergency exercise
I have.
to see what we actually are expected to do, and who with the county and with all of the Red Cross and the HKPR and everybody else that I can't think of right now, but everybody that has a responsibility when something like that happens. And I think first of all, we should get our people, particularly this group here, know what is coming. And then perhaps we can step off of that and take that a little bit further to what you're suggesting. I know that the HKPR we did look at calling or signifying one of our properties that could be a possible
Warming.
Yeah,
We were at warming.
warming.
room
Well,
stage.
not warming shouldn't be so bad. I think we can probably do that, but to actually set it up as an emergency shelter where you've got to have beds, you've got to have a certain number of washrooms, you've got to have this, that. I'm not sure if we could do anything with that. And in fact, I could be wrong, but from my recollection, the Keeler Center is where that we're supposed to be able to go if we ever had to go. It does make it very difficult when you're on the 401 though. And cars that could be coming from there. Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
Through you, your worship, I agree with what Deputy Mayor Joan Stover is saying. I'm just hoping in the future, when we're meeting about this, is that we could look to see if we could have an evacuation center somewhere in the town. I know there's strict criteria with what you have to have in washroom facilities, but we do have ACC, we do have Centerton, that are possible, even Fenella. I'm just wondering, I know none of them have power, like, generator power. So that's an issue, but maybe it's possible through you, Troy, that, maybe in the future we could come up with, if there is a possible location that we could pick, if it's ACC, I'm thinking it's quite the largest, that, we do invest and put some emergency power in there, and it's ready for cots, and we have washrooms and everything there, that in the future, if something happens, we can send our, our residents to, instead of having to rely on the businesses.
I don't think that's a problem. Anybody else? Go ahead, Councilor.
Yeah, through Mayor Logo. So it's obvious with everybody that we probably need to do something, and I wonder if we could, maybe direct staff and Dave to like kind of debrief those two storms and find out what we did good and what we did bad, and try to improve that, and maybe just come up with a list of things of where we want to go moving forward. And the other question I had, so Dave, when we go on the 401 or we go to an MVC, do we collect from the insurance company still?
So we don't, so depending on the accident, any response on the 401 is directly invoiced to the province. MTO pays those. And then MTO decides who they're going to chase to be reimbursed themselves. So because it's the King's Highway, the MTO sets the rates to which we charge, and we invoice the MTO directly for every incident that we attend on the 401. As a sidebar conversation to that, a conversation was brought up amongst the chiefs, and that is that the 401 is a King's Highway. It's a federally owned highway, and Colborne was left sitting holding the bag for all of the people that travel the highway without having any way of recouping the cost incurred. So it was something that was going to come up in further discussion amongst the Northumberland County Fire Chiefs. And as a caveat to that as well is the same thing that happens on the Trent Severn Waterway, because it is a federal jurisdiction waterway, that when we provide services, who is paying for that? And is it left up to each individual municipality to foot the bill? So there a lot of discussion has definitely come up from these storms that are happening.
Okay, good. But so we do recoup something from those accidents, right?
Yes,
Right,
we
for
do.
right now, but we're looking to maybe improve that.
Sorry, can we improve it?
Well, I think from what you're saying is you're looking to improve that.
So currently we charge and have been charging for every incident that we respond to on the 401. With respect to other federal land, we have not been, but that is something that we can definitely look at. And all of the county chiefs are trying to look at that as a major group, because we do need guidance and direction from the province and or federal government as to what are we going to do? What are we responsible for? We can't deny the service within our area, but is it fair that the taxpayers of each individual municipality get left holding the bag? So as an example, when there was a bunch of people stranded on the 401, Brighton was involved with rescuing the people off the 401 out of their vehicles and then back to a shelter area. And people that travel the 401 come from all over. So why did that end up being the responsibility of Brighton? Well, as an example, it's because they're an emergency service. They provide response to that area, so then they're left to deal with it. So do you come back to your municipality and then say, well, not our problem no more, we got you off the 401, way you go? Without a vehicle in a storm, what do you do with the people? So under the humanitarian guidelines that we have to do and provide, then shelter becomes an issue. With Alnwick-Haldeman, what ended up happening during the storm, Highway 2 got shut down. When Highway 2 got shut down, and Brian McMillan can sure tell you about this, a lot of vehicles then all of a sudden start going north, and they don't always stick to the EDR route. And then the municipality has to put up all kinds of road closure signs to keep people from going down roads that then cause other issues. The fire department does not necessarily get to play a proactive role when these things happen. All of our services are reactive to 911. So it definitely leaves you sitting back holding the bag, so to speak.
Thanks, Dave. It'd be nice if you could just kind of maybe keep council posted on how you're making out with that process.
Absolutely.
I think that's important.
Dave, you mentioned the 401 several times, but what about County Road 2 and County Road 45? Those ones. Oh, County Road 45 and County Road 2. How are they handled the same way as the 401?
With regards to invoicing, no, they're not. So if somebody that is a taxpayer of Alderwick-Haldeman Township, their taxes are paying for the services that are provided through the fire department, our tax dollars. If they are in a vehicle accident in our township within our boundaries, they do not receive an invoice from the fire department because they're already paying for those services. However, if somebody is not from Alderwick-Haldeman Township, that is when we invoice for the services provided based on an at-fault situation. So if somebody blew a stop sign as an example and caused a motor vehicle collision, then it's that vehicle or that person that then is invoiced for the services. The invoicing for the services does not go to both parties. It goes to the at-fault individual or vehicle. Sometimes we're able to bill direct to the insurance companies, and therefore they have a great claim system that are set up for this, and we collect our funds very, very quickly. In other situations, the invoice will go to the vehicle owner because in situations like an invalid license plate, no insurance, no proof of insurance. There are many details and situations that come out in motor vehicle collisions covering our roadways that become quite an issue.
Okay,
But I could add that during a storm event, when we get tons of vehicle traffic that come off the 401 and then try to find their own way, when a tractor trailer goes down Telephone Road, you can just imagine what ends up happening. Now our roads end up being closed altogether, not even by our own accord, but our own residents get interrupted. So if we get called to provide service to somebody that did not follow the EDR route, 100% they get an invoice for our time.
okay. I'd like to come back with the CEMC. When is your next meeting?
We'll have an exercise and review coming up in the spring. I think April was the month that we had talked about doing it. We do it twice a year. So we had just done one this past, the first part of December, I believe. And then we'll have another one coming up here in the spring. And it brings in all of your partners from around. So you have county representation, OPP, EMS, and then of course council comes into it, and we have a guideline that we follow and review when we go through this. During this storm, I will say that our CAO, Troy, and I did have a conversation about emergency operations centers, whether or not, we should open them or get things going. And between the both of us, it was decided we really didn't have a need. We were very, very fortunate for that. There was no calls for us for stranded people or anything like that. After the train derailment and the storm had settled down a little bit on the second night, we did send fire trucks around the township just to drive a few roads and make sure there wasn't anybody stranded or left in a situation where they were unable to contact us. So we did try to do a little bit of community service there, but then definitely in the days following between Boxing Day and the 27th, there was a few wellness checks that came in through Peterborough County Dispatch for the fire department to go and check on people. And the other thing that happens during a significant snowfall event is people can get their furnace vents get plugged up and whatnot, and CO can become quite an issue. So we do end up seeing an elevated increase in carbon monoxide responses. So.
Okay. Troy, do we still have an emergency, I forget what it's called, an exercise?
Yes,
We do that annually?
yes. Through you, your worship, yes, we do. And also regarding the evacuation center, I'm sure Dave at CEMC will be able to put that on the agenda for our next meeting. We can discuss it as a group. And if there are solutions or different alternatives, we'll bring it back to council. So it will be discussed further. So.
Okay. Deputy Mayor?
Through you, Mayor Local, I just wanted to you know, maybe we aren't in a position to have an evacuation center, but we certainly need a warming center of some sort that just, whether it's even this, because I mean, to talk about bringing people north, we had so many people coming off 401 and then Highway 2 was closed, but that didn't stop people. Nothing would stop these people until I guess they got stopped when they got farther east, because we were bad here, but farther east was even worse. You just couldn't stop them. It was a steady stream, even though the road is closed. So I think there's a lot that it would be really good to kind of get this settled in what we have in place.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further comments? All in favor of David's report? Motion is carried. Thank you, David.
You're welcome. Enjoy the day.
We're going to move on next to Public Works, and we've got a report from Brian McMillan, our Manager of Public Works, Parks and Recreation, dated February 16th, regarding the Public Works, Parks and Recreation Winter Storm event, December 15th and 17th, and again on the 23rd to the 25th. So, Brian, you're there?
Yes, I am, Mayor Logo. Good afternoon, Mayor Logo, members of council. I did bring a report to use here in the agenda regarding the two storms of December. I know you've had a chance to go over it. I just, in detail, I kind of, with men staff here, we broke it down into external costs with the contractors. And then as well, we broke it down with our equipment, material used, staff. Again, I talk about the financial impact, and being that, you know, most of the cost, I guess if I did a rationale, it's probably about, you know, 80% of the costs, or 75 to 80% of the costs are budgeted for in our normal, in the normal 2022 budget for staffing and material, plowing and overtime. But in these rare occasions, are becoming more than rare, I guess, they happen quite a bit now with these storms. We'd have to bring in some outside help, outside contractors, mainly brushers or contractors, brushing companies with the December 15th to 17th storm. And then storm of the 23rd to the 25th, some contractors with blowers now to open up some of the roads that our trucks could not get through on. So if you have any questions, I would just like to say again that we do have a great public works staff. They work diligently through both these storms. The last one being the more challenging one, the one during Christmas, you know, basically the 24th and 25th, or sorry, the 23rd and the 25th, and working Christmas Day and that. So you know, staff did a great job, doing the best they could to open the roads. It was, you know, challenging with the 401 closures, you know, some of the county roads being bad as well. Then, you know, with the GPS systems in the vehicles, motorist vehicles using our township roads, and some of the roads that aren't, you know, great for detour route. So it was a challenge, but I think it overall, the public works staff, the guys in the trucks and the seats did a great job.
Thank you, Brian. I'll read the motion. Be resolved, the council of the township of Alma-Calderman receive and file the Manager of Public Works, Parks and Recreation report for winter storm events dated for December 15th and 17th, and from December 23rd to the 25th, 2022, for the Public Works Department. Mover and the seconder, moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Does anybody have any questions for Brian? Deputy Mayor?
Through you, Mayor Logo. Brian, I was just wondering about the contractors. Do you have a list that you have on board that you call upon when they're needed like this?
Go ahead, Brian.
Yes, through you, Mayor Logo. Yes, we do. And in some cases, we do open up the, you know, we did that emergency training. We do have a list of contractors in that. Some of the ones we use weren't in that list. but in general, we do have a list, and some of our staff here have been using these contractors for a few years in the past, and they're quick to get here, and you know, when we need them quick. So it has worked out very well in the past and very well the last storm.
Thank you, Brian. Mike, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Lola. Brian, I wonder if the total for both events would be a different number. So just say that we had a normal snowstorm and you had to go out and plow the roads and all that stuff. That got taken care of in these numbers also. So I wonder if the numbers would be more precise if you would take like a normal snowstorm day out of it, or what it would have cost to clear the roads on a normal day, and then what the extra would have been on these two heavier storms. That makes sense?
Go ahead, Brian.
Through you, Mayor Logo. Yeah, I think so, Councilor Ainsworth. I think I know where you're going or asking about. This storm, a lot of the speed of the trucks traveling, especially the 23rd, 25th was, we were going a lot slower. Visibility was brutal at some times. There was a couple times where we actually pulled the trucks off for a brief period of time because of the safety of our drivers. One thing, there wasn't, again, I did have pricing here for materials and sand and salt. One thing we didn't use as much as some of our regular storms is we didn't, reload as much, use as much as material when we were doing. Our main focus was to open up the roads and keep enough weight on the trucks to keep the trucks going, rather than going back to the sand dome to reload and stuff like that. So, but still, it did take longer. It was slower. So, I'd say there was probably, if I threw a number, maybe 20% longer or something like that, Councilor Ainsworth. And, with taking time over there longer and some more overtime as well. If that helps you out there.
Yeah, kind of. I just wondered, maybe that 117,900 might only be 50,000 if we kind of took the normal snow plow day out of it, instead of it looking like that was over and above. But maybe next time we could maybe look at that, if that's possible. And the only other question I had, so all these numbers would have in them like fuel, wages, material, breakdowns kind of thing.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yep, through your Mayor Logo. Yes, Councilor Ainsworth, all the costs are in there. So the contractors, that's their external cost. That's their cost when we get the invoicing. The tandems, that's an hourly rate for the truck. So in those hourly rates for the truck is the maintenance, the fuel. Same thing for the pickups. The materials, for the sand and salt, that's the actual price we pay for sand and salt and what it costs to get into the sand dome. And then staffing, that's the staff wages, regular wages, overtime wages. So that's all in there. The number though, if you were looking, like I said, as far as number compared to a regular storm, it wouldn't be as low as say the 50,000, but I said you could probably take 20%, maybe 25% at the most, maybe in lower at Councilor Ainsworth compared to a normal storm, but that'd be more of a closer number.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Yeah, I think to kind of summarize it, there was about $28,000 worth of equipment that he had to rent and that type of stuff put on for contractors. So that's really unusual. And then if you look at the 90,000 out of the other weeks, it's higher than a normal week, but not aggressively so. And I think there was some times during that time period that we did get a few light days as well. And I know it's pretty hard to average it all out, but I think that's probably what we're seeing. Go ahead, CAO.
Through you, Your Worship. I'm also working with Brian and MMAH to hopefully get some cost recovery. So just so council is aware, I'm not sure it's going to work. I don't know if big enough, but we are looking at that and there is a deadline to the end of March or something like that. So we are in the process of, they have our numbers, so communication with them, maybe an application we have to fill out. So there could be that potential that we have some money cost recovery.
And Nicole, if you're there, does that, I think we do have some money side in a one line item for unusual weather. Is that true or not?
Through you, Mayor, I'm assuming you're talking about the reserves.
I think there's a line item that, am I right, Troy? Maybe Troy can help me.
Yeah, through your worship. Yeah, I thought we always put some money away for significant storms in reserves for this.
I think there's, I don't know, I think there's like $60,000 or something. Is that
There
too
might
much?
be something like that. Yeah, we used to a few years ago. I don't know if we have in the last couple, but a few years ago, we used to put X amount of money away in reserves for significant storm events to help pay for it. So not sure what's in there now.
Yeah. Go ahead, Greg.
Through you, your worship, I agree with you. The $28,000 we probably would never spend on a regular snowfall. I guess the other issue too is you don't usually have people, Brian, snow plowing on Christmas Day, right? And I know when you have to have it, you have to have it, but that's a premium day that you're paying staff, right, to come out on that day. So the costs, of course, are going to be much larger, but just overall, Brian, just to tell the guys, they did a very good job. We had a lot of compliments. I did that people were surprised the trucks were out there and that the roads were in fairly good condition. And you have to use common sense, right?
Yeah.
But thank you again for your staff.
Good point. Greg. Mary Catherine?
I'm just reiterating what we've heard. I also heard compliments, so pass those on, please.
Sure.
And yes, I was going to say that should be a discussion during budget today, because I'm guessing there was also contractors used during the Dureco or whatever it was, that big windstorm in the middle of the summer there, or sorry, last May. So yes, when we're looking at climate change, there probably does need to be some sort of a line for response.
Okay, go ahead.
Through your worship, I think Nicole has some numbers to present right now.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, so I just looked at the end of 2022, we had 65,000 in winter maintenance reserves.
Okay. 65, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Well, if we need it, we can do it. If we don't need it, we can leave it where it is. Save it for a, I was going to say a rainy day, but maybe a snowy day might be more appropriate. Any further comments? Thank you, Brian. Good report. All in favor? Motion carried. Next, we're going to move on to Parks and Rec, and we've got a council report from Jennifer Steen, Parks and Recreation and Cultural Coordinator, dated February 16th, regarding Let's Talk background and demonstration. Jennifer, you're there?
Yes,
Thank you. Go ahead.
thank you. Through you, Mayor Logal. So this report is just to provide some background information and stats on the township's social engagement site and public participation platform, Let's Talk. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen, and there's a 4-minute promotional video that I want to show you that kind of explains the site and what it can do.
Engagement HQ is a comprehensive community engagement platform designed to promote inclusive, productive, and sustained dialogue through a suite of purpose-built engagement tools, robust communication options, 24/7 moderation. There are many ways to engage your participants in Engagement HQ, whether it's sharing a photo in the Ideas tool, dropping a pin, answering a question on a community map, or choosing an emoji response to a question in surveys. Engagement HQ delivers the right tools for each consultation, and they're all easy and user-friendly. From an administrator's perspective, Engagement HQ makes it simple to build and manage your engagement site. Appearance Editor presents a suite of flexible design tools, allowing you to customize your site and reflect your brand. On your homepage, you can feature a topic on its own, group a list of common projects in a single section, or enable visitors to browse a full catalog of projects using Project Showcase. And to add important context on your homepage, select from a range of templated and freeform sections to show who's listening, address frequently asked questions, present timelines, and more. To engage on a specific topic, you'd simply create and title a new page, choose an image, and upload your relevant information. Then you'll select your feedback tools based on the nature of your topic, the dialogue you'd like to have, and the phase of your consultation. After typing your prompts into the tools, you can preview and then publish them. Then you can choose a mix of informational widgets to provide context, key dates, or other relevant information. When your project page is finished, the description will clearly state what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how people can get involved. Using multiple engagement tools helps you collect more and richer feedback, and carefully chosen widgets can create trust and transparency in your process. Once you've collected community feedback, you're going to want to make the most of it. With purpose-built reporting and analytic tools on board, you'll be able to make your data actionable. We've made it easier than ever to process large amounts of text-based responses through sentiment analysis, demographic filtering, and a comment tagging interface. Additionally, every project, tool, and data point in Engagement HQ is easily downloadable, allowing you to quickly share reports with participants and decision makers. Engagement HQ's participant relationship management platform makes long-term engagement easy by showing you who you're speaking to, what topics they're interested in, and how they prefer to engage. The PRM also powers our integrated email system, keeping participants informed and closing transparency gaps. These complementary functions ensure that with each new project on Engagement HQ, you'll be growing an informed, engaged community who are ready to participate. As you get started, you'll discover that EHQ was built with you and your team in mind. Managing the platform, workflows, staff capacity is easy and intuitive. You're able to assign different permission levels to team members to help manage the site as a whole, or just work on individual projects. We've also created an easy way to share page preview links to members of your organization without granting administrative access. And if you need to build capacity through your organization, our Engagement IQ services team is available to provide advanced training, practice strategies, or even hands-on implementation. In our marketplace, you'll find additional tools to complement your engagement efforts. We partner with some of the best in the community engagement business, offering options for budgeting, SMS, interactive PDFs, and much more. We believe that data security, both for you and your participants, is critical, and that technical accessibility is foundational to social inclusion. That's why we maintain the highest accreditations for both data security and accessibility, and promise to never keep, sell, or share your information. In addition to our best-in-class community engagement software, most employees will have worked in and with governments across the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, bring real-world experience to the practice of online engagement. We're so glad you're interested in working with us and truly understand every use case is different. When you're ready to take the next step, we look forward to supporting you in any way that we can.
Okay, so that was their promotional video there that kind of went through the site. And now I'd like you to just take you through our site. So if you were just to enter our site through letstalkahtwp.ca, this is what you'd see. So this is the home screen here. And you can see that we have a welcome page here. And these are our featured projects. So right now we have the draft budget project, and just on the February 14th, we launched a farmers market project on where we're looking to see what people want and where they want it. And then down here, you'll see talk to our team and who's there. So you could go to the home and see all the projects as well. You have the opportunity to log in if it's your first time going, creating an account, but you can see all projects. So even if they've closed, you can still see them all here. I'm going to go back to the home page here and just show you what happens when you click on a project. So for instance, we're interested in participating in this farmers market project. What's that about? So we can click it and it brings you to the project page. Project page here tells you what the project is, what's it about. On the right-hand side here, you can register to get involved. So that's registering for the site and you can see who's listening. So there I am as the staff who is responding kind of to this project. For this project, we're using 3 different tools. We're using Quick Poll, surveys. So you can click through them. There's 2 surveys we have here, one for potential customers and one for potential vendors. And then we have an ideas tool here, which is where people can just post their comments and what ideas they have. So here I have share your ideas on what would make a great farmers market in the township. So far we have 1 participant. And then others may come in. You can see one person has loved this comment. So other people can comment on this or share it or like it and that. So that's that project. I also now wanted just to show you the back end of the website. Let's talk. So I've signed in. I was administrator. This is the back end of the site. I can change everything that they showed you kind of in that promotional video as far as how the site looks. But what's really great about this site is the reporting tools that you can do. So I'll go into the farmers market project here and I can go to the analytics and it's going to give me, I'll just take a minute here, but it'll give me a breakdown of who has answered the poll, answered the surveys, given ideas, and it breaks down that information very easily. My internet's a bit slow here today. It's wanting me to sign in again.
Just as a comment while you're setting it up, I'm finding Jennifer very easy to understand now, but I was having difficult with the
Video.
with the video. Is anybody else hearing that too?
Yep.
I'm not sure what's causing that, but whether it's the tape or the machine itself, but it's something we have to, I guess we are addressing with the.
I think it was the video.
Okay.
It was a very soft spoken video, but it talked very fast.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jennifer, you're coming through loud and clear. So whenever you're ready, go
Okay.
ahead.
Well, that's good. Sorry about that. I can share the link to that video if anybody's interested in viewing it on their own. So this is a summary kind of on the farmers market project that we have. So you can see that we launched the project on February 14th and 518 people viewed the page. You can see the total number of visits, the total visitors per day, 2 new registrations. So that's always great. I've set this project to, I forget what it's called, but anybody can come on this site and participate. They don't have to be a registered user. When we first launched this in 2021 and we had some projects, we set them as you had to be a registered user in order to participate. And we could tell by our statistics and data that that was a barrier for people. So people might click on the site, see that they have to register. So create a username and a password before they could participate, meant that they might just decide, forget about it. I don't want to do that. I'll click off and go do something else when I'm online. So having it open really means that people can just click on that site, participate to the level they want to without having to register. But when they do register, it is great because we get a bit more data from them so we can know a bit more about them, you know, if they live in the township, kind of demographics, that kind of stuff, as well as they leave their email. So we can send out newsletters to them to let them know that, hey, there's a new project on this site, you might want to check it out. And without registered, we don't have that capability. So we can look to, I don't want to bring up our participants because it'll show private information, but it's great that when we do new projects, we do get new registrations. And you can also see how people are getting to the site. So you can see here, this orangey brown color represents social media. So I posted that on our township's Facebook page, hey, we have a new project about farmers markets, and posted the link, and then directly we got 170 people clicked on that link and participated in the survey in some way. So it gives you a lot of information here. It tells you how many people did the quick poll. So we had 102 people do the quick poll. So let's say we want a bit more information just on this quick poll. We can go up to, click on that quick poll. So we're asking people, where do you want to see a farmer's market in the township? And we've given them a few choices. And this will just take a minute to populate. But it gives you, yeah, so here we can see 105 people visited the quick poll site, 104 contributors and 151 responses. So if we had more data on people who, the registered people who participated, you'd get a bit more data here, like I live in the township or I work in the township. That's the only information we have there. But for the actual poll, it gives you it breakdown, right? So you can see that 54% of people out of the 104 have chosen, the blue represents the Haldeman Memorial Arena and Park, where they would like to see the farmers market. The next highest is 28.4% of people have chosen the Alnwick Civic Center as a choice of where they'd like to see a farmers market in the township. So this is just a great way to easily collect that data. I'll just show you another one. So the other quick poll was, what day would you most be interested in attending a farmers market? Well, we can clearly see here there's 65% of people would like to see a farmers market on Sundays from 9 to 12 a.m. So that's how we as staff use this site to, collect data that can be used in making decisions, especially important for me in Parks and Rec when it comes to these community type of events and programs that I'm looking to put on. I'll go back and just show you another project. Or maybe I'll do it actually from the site here. So this is just on the site as if anybody went to the site and looked at it. The draft budget project, because this is going to be a different type of project than something like the farmers market. So here's the 2023 draft budget project. You can see who's listening on the right hand side. So we have the CAO, the treasurer, and the clerk. We have some important information there. The right hand side, all of those things, they call them widgets. So you can add, they have a number of different things you can add to it. Here, it makes sense. We want to add some documents. So we can upload as many documents as we'd like. We have the draft budget there, the issue papers. We have another widget called key dates. So you can look on there and see when the budget meetings are happening, as well as important links. And we have a link there to the council meeting portal. So you can view meetings, agendas, and minutes. This one had the questions. So if you had a question for the 2023 draft budget, you submit your question here and it goes to staff, and staff have the ability to either answer it publicly on this site or they can answer it privately, which just goes to the person who has asked the question. So that's my overview of Let's Talk, and I'm happy to answer any questions if council has any.
Thank you very much. I'll read the motion, then we'll get some open it up to the floor. Council report from Jennifer Steen, Parks, Recreation and Cultural Coordinator. Dated February 16th, 2023, regarding Let's Talk background and information demonstration, pardon me. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Alma Cullinan receive and file the Let's Talk background demonstration. Ruben, the seconder. Moved by Councilor Ainsworth and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Go ahead, Mike.
Through you, Mayor Lowell. Thanks, Jennifer. That was great information. And thank God that we got someone like you looking after that website, because I'd be lost. But you know, and in saying that, I wonder if we can make it easier to access from our website. Because if it was right on the front page somewhere that someone could just click on, it would probably be easier. Because I know, like, I use my wife for a bit of a like demonstrations, like go into the website and see if you can find Let's Talk. She was having a hard time doing it. So I wonder if we can make, especially something like this here that we're going to use for all that data and we're going to use throughout the municipality, and a communication tool, if we could make it like instant as soon as you open up the our website. And is it capable of an app that people could put on their phone? Is our IT guy, could he do something like that?
You want to answer that, Jennifer?
Sure, through you, Mayor Local. We can, it is on our website, and I understand what you're saying there. When we initially had Let's Talk and I was putting it on the website, we were speaking with our website software company, and there would be an additional cost to have your own tab on the website. So right now it's on a page, and internally we can update and manage those pages. But there's certain things only the software company can do. So we can look into that. There would just be an additional cost for having that on our website in the way that I think you're looking for. And as far as the app, as far as I know, that you can have it on your phone, but you just bring it up in your internet browser. There's not an app for this software.
I Googled it while you were talking, and and there is an app for Let's Talk. But
Okay.
it's probably definitely not ours. Not ours. I'd have to try it. Right. So I didn't download it because I didn't know if it was just somebody else's or not. But if it's possible to make it an app, and then we could educate people about it, then it's right on the phone, and people don't have to go looking for it. I love this idea, and you know, this council has been about communications with our residents, and this would be a great tool. Just make it easier to get to.
Thank you, Mike. Other comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Richard. Yes, I like your suggestions, and staff will definitely look into them. I'd also, and I have it on the bottom of my signature line on my email too. So I just think it would help too if council promotes it, puts that link on the bottom of your signature line too. And it's a great tool, community engagement. So the more we can get it out there, the better. And that is just another way that we can do it on our signature on our email.
Deputy Mayor?
Through you, Mayor Local, to Jennifer. Jennifer, when did you start this program? You might have already said that. Sorry, I didn't retain that.
That's right. Through you, Mayor Local. The Let's Talk launched in January of 2021.
And how many registered users do you have?
I'd have to go in and see. My report to council says 76, but it's constantly changing. So I know that we have a few more users than we did at the time I wrote this.
And through those 76, are they all AH residents?
They are.
So I kind of question, I do know we need to work on communication, but I didn't know really what this was, to be honest. And it took me a little while to find it as well. So I think two things going on maybe is our website, because it's really kind of hard. Like some websites have things flashing, so but with this, you have to know what you're looking for in order to go the next step. So I just a little concerned about the numbers that are signed up and if we're getting good value for our money.
What is the price? Somebody, is it $5,000 or $6,000, Jennifer?
6,000 a year,
How much?
6,000 a year.
6,000 a year. You know, getting to be the age I am, it's kind of complicated and all that stuff, but at the same time, if we can make good use of it, I think it's the right way to go. And I'm not sure what Hamilton Township used for their when they prepared their budget, but they sent out a questionnaire to their people, and it was very well put together. And I think they got a pretty good response from it, but I don't know that 100% for sure. Mary Catherine?
I believe Hamilton's using the same software. Having said that, I share Deputy Mayor Stover's. This has not got very high engagement, and I know that we can do a better job, but the library, when they did their survey, it was a co-op student who coordinated that, but there was 153 responses to their survey, and that was she used Google Forms, so it was a free software that she used, and the analytics were very good. And then at the end, we were able to download it to a CSV and do all sorts of searches. So I know at a meeting someone asked the non-users who replied, what times do they wish the library was open? Well, I could cross-reference that on the CSV and have that answer within a couple of minutes for them. And then when I was campaigning, I used Wix, and this is to your point, Councillor Ainsworth. It was giving me all that level of analytics. It was a free website builder that I was using, but it included a free app as well. So I was getting that feedback from them. And it was very interesting to see which social media and also which news outlets, by the way, were, when people looked me up, it directed them to that site and they could then access it through there. So both of those were free. This is 6,000. We definitely need to use it more, and exceptionally more, to say it's worth 6,000 over a free site like Google Forms.
Troy?
Through your mayor, I believe we're in a contract with them too, so into 2024. So we're at a situation where we do our best to promote it, and it can be up for discussion in 2024 whether we renew it or not. So, but right now we're in a contract, so we should just put both feet in and try and promote it and get the best out of it and visit it in 2024.
Are you talking for the 2024 budget, Troy?
Yeah, so so we're in it this year for sure. And then I believe it's 2024, we're in it as well. So it'll be the end of 2024.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, it's not like physician recruitment when we have to give them a year's notice to get out of the contract. Just clarification there.
Through your worship, I'd have to read the contract and find out what the termination policy is, but I could definitely look into that and bring it back to council just for a discussion.
Yeah. Are you comfortable with the Jennifer? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mayor Logal. I do like using the site. Yes, I did want to just clarify a couple things. So one, our site, the township site, is called Let's Talk. The software is, the company is called Granicus now, and its software is Engagement HQ. So a lot of townships and municipalities across, and you saw that in their presentation, across Ontario, Canada, and elsewhere use this software, but it's going to have a different name. So Cobourg, for example, is Engage Cobourg, and you can go on their website and see how it interacts with their website compared to how ours does, to see if you find that more user friendly. It definitely is a bit. Like I said, that comes with added cost. And while we only have 76 registered users, we've had over 1,400 people participate on the forum. So if you remember during my presentation there, I said registered users have to create a username and an account. Basically, you're creating an account on that forum. A lot of people aren't interested in doing that, right? As you can see, only 76 out of 1,400 did. Depending on the type of project you put on there, you can set those parameters. So if you're interested in gathering really specific data from only people that even live in a certain area of the township, then you make that project, you ask a registered project, and you ask those users. So I know even if you wanted to go check out, I don't know if it's Coburg's or Port Hope, you can't get onto their site without entering your postal code. So therefore, they know they're collecting data from only those people within their municipality, right? They're not interested in other people coming in and commenting on projects that they don't want that data. So it does have a lot of capabilities that some others like Google Forms and those things don't. So I do see it as a useful tool for communication and as one of our really only public participation platforms that we have. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Anybody else got any further comments? Well, I think what we got to do, oh, go ahead, Mike.
Through Mayor Logan, just one more comment to reiterate the app, because I've been involved with a couple of apps, getting them up and running. So we could probably have our own app. It'd be a cost, but when you do that, you get to have certain amount of users for it. So maybe Crammy, maybe Hamilton Township would come on board and go with us, kind of thing, right? So I don't know if maybe Jennifer or staff could maybe look into something like that. And then, we got a couple of years to think about it. And if we had, 2 or 3 municipalities that went on board with us, it might make it financially, a better idea.
I don't really have any idea. It was 6,000 for this. Is it another $100 or $500 to do some of the other stuff you're talking about?
I don't know, through your worship, but it's something that Jennifer can look into for sure. I know Jennifer's quite involved with neighboring municipalities in their Parks and Rec and program group. So it's something that she can maybe, over the next little while, discuss with our neighbors and see what the options are and what others are doing. So Jennifer will definitely look into it.
Yeah. Okay. So bring us back something to look at, Troy, and we'll see how far we're committed to and how we can make it work.
Yeah, it'll be a while before. Let Jennifer do some work investigating, but it's not going to be reported anytime soon. It'll be down the road. But yes, we will bring something back.
Okay. And I guess I would ask Nicole, would you have a lot of use for something like this or not? Or could you use that for gathering information?
Absolutely. It's a good resource. I think even for the budget process, just knowing, who's aware of what's going on. And even just putting up questions that we may have for input.
Yeah, and Public Works too, probably. There's lots of chances for Public Works that people want to comment on. I don't know. Anyways. So all in favor of that report? Motion is carried. Next, we have the treasurer's report. And it's at number 11-1, council report from Nicole Leach Blinn, treasurer, dated February 16th, 2023, regarding the 2023 second draft budget. And I think Nicole had mentioned that, and maybe it was Troy, one of them mentioned that they probably think we could wait and do this tonight when we're just going to be going over the same thing for at 7 o'clock tonight. So is there any reason that we would need to go through it now? We'll just keep plugging on at the other stuff?
Well, I'm not sure if Counselor O'Neill had something pressing, or is it okay?
I was just going to say, before we get into a long item, can we take a little break? But now if we're going to defer till this evening, we're okay.
Okay.
Okay,
I just had one question, Nicole, through you, Mayor Logal, and I think you're aware of it. It was the question on the sidewalk clearing for Roseneath and Centerton. Would that be something to bring up tonight as well?
Through you, Mayor, absolutely you can. I did respond to the email that Brian sent back today. And there was just over $40,000 in there's actually 2 GL accounts. We were using an account and then created a new one to make sure it was in with the Public Works snow removal area rather than just in regular sidewalk maintenance. So there was just over $40,000 in 2022. And I believe Brian had mentioned that there was some further accrual. Now, I know one of the things that you were looking for was a breakdown between the Roseneath and the Grafton sidewalk. So I have asked Brian to look into that. If we don't have a specific breakdown, then I've just asked him if we can get, even a number of, meters of sidewalk for those 2 areas, and then I can give you an estimate.
Yeah, through your Mayor Local, I just wanted to bring that to council's attention that the number was wrong that was provided to Treasury. So we'll look at that.
did you mention, did I catch hear you say Centerton?
No,
Oh, okay. But I thought you mentioned Centerton sidewalks, and I'm not
No.
familiar with any sidewalks in Centerton, is there?
no, there isn't.
If there are, I missed them for years.
Okay, so the next,
Mayor Local.
yes,
Jennifer.
Through you, Mayor, I just want to correct, Deputy Mayor Stover, I'm not, the 14,000, it wasn't that it's incorrect. You'll see when you look at the email I sent back to you, that there's actually 2 GL accounts that when you add them up, they add up to over $40,000 in costs on the sidewalks. It's just, they were allocated to 2 accounts. So the amount wasn't incorrect. It was just that it was allocated between 2 accounts.
It was just how it was looked.
Distributed.
Thank you.
go ahead, Troy.
And through you, your worship, we will have a breakout. I was just talking to Brian, and Brian and Susan have a breakout of both locations, the amount of money on sidewalks. So
Thank you.
sorry, Nicole, if you don't have that right yet, but you will.
Why don't we take a 10-minute break? Yeah, yes,
I'll make a motion to defer this to tonight.
okay. Good point, thank you. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Can we take a 10-minute break to mover and seconder to do that? Moved by
Motion to have a
Councilor
10-minute break.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Silver. All in favor? Motion's carried. We'll be back here at 2:35. Okay, can I get a mover and seconder to go back into regular council? And we're gonna go to number 12. Mover and seconder, moved by Mary Catherine, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. All in favor? Motion's carried. And we're going into 12-1. Council report from Pat Kemp, clerk, dated February 16th, 2023, regarding the first 100 days. Pat, go ahead.
So members of council, as you recall, you had made a list of things that you would like to accomplish. And there were 19 items on that list. 3 items are outstanding. We have 6 items that have been referred to the meeting, 8 items have been completed, and 2 items are pending. So council has the opportunity to either have a list or.
Does anybody want to comment on any one of the ones that are there? Go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth.
To you, Mayor Lobo. So Madam Clerk, I had a meeting. I went to the agricultural meeting down in Colburn on, I want to say Tuesday night. And I was invited by Al Crothers. So we talked about putting together like an advisory committee for the agricultural with somebody from council or a couple from council. And they'd be very interested in doing something like that. So I asked their secretary to maybe shoot us off an email and bring it to council. And that could actually, I see that that's one of the things that we haven't started yet. So, but they're more than willing to put that together.
And is that, you know, Al, or pardon me, is that just for the township or is that for the one that the council, pardon me, county
So-
council accept?
So their catchment area is from, like, say, Welcome to the other side of Brighton. So say to Trenton.
Okay,
So they have about 700 members. And, you know, whether we can specifically put it into Elma Coleman Township and use it there, but I mean, so what we talked about is like an education safety program for farmers and road access. Because we have so many new residents in our area now that it would be a great opportunity, and it might be because I mean, a way of life here is farm equipment's on our roads, and being patient and being safe while passing them is something that we need to promote. So they thought the same thing. It was a great evening there for the time, and I think it'd be great if we put that partnership together.
okay. So we're going to get an invite. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I asked their secretary to send off an email, and then her and I could put something together. Then we can bring it to Pat to put on an agenda
Okay.
for council.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else have any ones that they wanted to bring up? Here, Catherine?
So number 16, and initially we talked about an ad hoc committee for communications because that was the number one issue when we were out campaigning. But I think moving forward, it makes sense for it to be a standing committee on communications and technology. I know that's many other municipalities have one that's called the Committee for Communications and Technology. And it ties into our budget discussions about, we have that modernization fund. How is it best spent? And that can be one of the things on top of communications, but definitely high needs in this municipality.
Anybody else have any comments? Go ahead, Mayor.
Well, we,
Deputy Mayor.
through you, Mayor Logo. I had it here in front of me, the number 14, that'll be up for the next discussion after this.
Okay,
And so we're well on our way there. We do have the volunteer section in here. What number is it? 6. Oh,
15.
that's insurance for volunteers.
15, schedule mandatory training.
15. Yes. As well for the training, as well as the notice of motion I brought forward from last week. Madam Clerk has updated me that she has it on schedule for next Thursday's meeting, the planning meeting. So that will be good.
which is that one you're talking about?
The motions to provide duty of care for our volunteers. And that would, no, that was looking at our HR policies and ensuring that we are providing, including them in our HR policies for duty of care, because there seems to be a lack right now for that.
I'm not familiar with duty of care.
For volunteers, just making sure that they're aware of the policies as well, including the word volunteer along with employee. So that is something that Madam Clerk is going to be looking at.
Okay.
So as far as the training, do we have any dates set up for the training?
We haven't set any dates yet. I'm actually speaking with the CEO this morning to try to get some dates, so bring that back to you at next week's meeting as well.
Perfect. And would that also include, because nobody has had any of the basics for that volunteer policy as far as police checks?
And I also spoke to the CAO about that in a former municipality I was in. If there are volunteers that are acting on behalf of the municipality, we can send them with a letter, so there is no cost to them. But I have to check with
The
staff
OPP.
sergeant here to make sure that that's still regulations.
That's interesting, because I was signing a couple of checks today for checks. Police checks. So I was,
So I'm going to check to see it was a past policy that if an individual was volunteering their
Yes.
time, if they had a letter from the organization that they were volunteering,
Yeah.
they didn't have to pay for the police check. So I want to check that first, and then if that's the case, then I'll send it a letter to each of the volunteers. Most of our committees established, and then ask them to get their police checks done and advise them it is free, that it is free. So I wanted to make sure before I did that.
And through you, Mayor Logo, just to add, I had to get a police check done for the county for next week. And, or for, I guess, the week before, and I had to pay for it only because of, I guess, my employment with the township. If it had been like a volunteer, I wouldn't have had to pay for it. And it's quite quick now. It's all done online. So it's quite seamless.
How long we are with
I think I was 2 days.
I'm not
Seems,
sure if you're, I don't think you should be paying that out of your own pocket.
I will get reimbursed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mary Catherine, have you thought anything more about the communications? Like, I'd like to know what your terms of reference are and that type of stuff.
As I say, I've looked at what other municipalities had in terms of a similar title and mandate, but I didn't collect any of that information because, you know, we hadn't formally decided we were going to do anything, so.
Go ahead.
So if applies to receive it,
Yeah, well, yeah, I think we gotta know what we're getting into before we decide that's what we're gonna do. And in terms of reference or something, it's probably the best way to get started. Councillor Booth.
Yes, through you, your worship. Just a comment and then a question on number 15. The mandatory training at the library board. They asked me if it's possible that Troy, if your staff are doing, I guess it's first aid training, whether or not they can be included on that if it's happening this year.
Through you, Mayor. Yes, we are doing first aid, and I'll mention it to our HR. She'll reach out if she hasn't already. So I'll make sure that they're contacted.
Okay, good. Thank you. And the other one was just a comment of what Deputy Mayor said about the duty of care, which is good. We, myself, Troy and Nicole did the water course on Monday and find out that not only as counselors, but people that sit on that committee, and correct me if I'm wrong, Troy, what are they eligible personal fines up to?
4 million.
4 million and 5 years in jail. So it's anybody that wants to sit and volunteer on the water committee needs to know that, guess what, this is not just a fly by night committee type thing, because they're included in the same as counselors that we're responsible for that too personally. So okay, thank you.
That's good. That's interesting. It's probably the best.
I don't have $4 million, but
did I get a second? Okay, I'll read the motion. Be resolved, the council of the township of Allen will receive the report dated February 16th, 2003 regarding the first 100 days. And further, the council provides staff with any further direction. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Anybody else have any further questions? Go ahead, go ahead.
I do think that we need to look at the insurance part as well for volunteers, because I don't think it's adequate. They're just saying for liability, and I don't believe it's adequate. So I think that needs to be opened up for discussion. I believe it will come into discussion when we are going through the HR policies. And I think it will come into there that they need to be included in that.
And then the question I had is council, going to change and how we have our committee.
Well, you're gonna find out.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah,
okay, that was my question too, about, does that fit in further direction?
so that, you're gonna find out what the insurance, or do we know what the insurance is, and what would that cost us, I guess?
I mean, it's a moot point. If you're not going to properly cover your volunteers, then there's no sense.
You don't have any.
You don't have any volunteers. So right now it's just liability and it's not adequate.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Next, we have the report from Pat Kemp dated February 16th regarding short-term rentals, the ad hoc committee. Go ahead, Pat.
Council, later on in today's meeting, we'll be appointing your ad hoc committee. And we had a brief discussion, but unfortunately we ran out of time. So the mayor had asked if I would put together in terms of reference, which I've attached to the report. It's a starting point. So if council wants to change anything or add anything or take anything away, then so.
Okay, be it resolved that the council of the township of Alderman Alderman received a report from clerk dated February 16th, 2022-3 regarding the short-term ad hoc committee. And further that the council need to provide staff with any direction. Mover by Deputy Mayor, or pardon me, Councillor O'Neill,
Promoting me already. Yeah, whatever.
seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. You have the floor.
Oh, I'll just say thank you. I like how you've used principles. I think that I like that. And I like your principles too, by the way.
Any other, Councillor Ainsworth?
Through you, Mayor Lovell. So just a couple of things. So in the it talks about so what I'll read what I wrote down here. So does this terms of reference have the same desire to regulate and control other home-based businesses as it does the short-term rental terms of reference? I think it, like, I mean, like, when we had the meeting here and they had their delegation, we were putting extra chairs out and people were standing. So it should be noted, like, I don't want to like seems to scare people away when we start talking about all the stuff that we're going to try to regulate on them. And I just want to make sure that we're not centering them out if we're not using that same paragraph in other stuff for home businesses. And should we, I know it talks about it in there, but it doesn't specifically explain it. And we talked about it at council one time, where should we add all committee members have to be open-minded and objective, or they can be added to the exploitation part of the terms of reference. I know it talks in there and it talks about any other, but I think we specifically had a conversation about people not coming in with their own agenda to this committee. And can the timeframes be adjusted? Because I think it's April 30th. We want to try to have this done by. And if we're not ready, we won't be ready. So it'd just be nice to be able to move the book in a bit.
Move it ahead or back?
Well, move it ahead. So, might be the end of May kind of thing.
I don't know, do you want to comment on that, Greg?
I guess it says around April 30th. I would think if I was a council rep, I'd want some kind of semi-firm date to just say that's our goal. But like you said, Councillor Ainsworth, if you find out that you're having a lot more meetings and it's not going to happen, I think if you don't give them a goal, then it's like, yeah, we'll meet again another time, we'll meet again. And I think the mayor's probably thinking the same as me is come May, that's when short-term rentals, probably even into April, that's when they're going to be really starting. So we need to have some kind of idea back to council of what's going on. And it just happens to be that that's going to be one of these committees that were the last ones to form, but are going to be super busy, right? But I think, Mike, it gives you enough flexibility to say it's around April 30th and you and Joan will know within a meeting or two
Okay.
whether or not that's going to be.
I think, and thank you for saying that. I was kind of going, looking for your experience last time. How important that was to have something done before May 24th. And I think that's what you're suggesting. And the other thing I would just like to comment, Greg and Joan have seen the same presentation that I saw down at Roma. And basically they said, correct me if I'm wrong, but they said, okay, we're going to put a bylaw in there today, but 2 weeks from now, we might have to update that or monthly, they might have to update it. Just to, make sure they had looked at everything.
So-
Yeah, I was just gonna say, the reason why I picked April 30th was to coincide with your 100 days objective, so. But at any time, you can come back to council and ask for it to be extended. It just, and that's the other thing with ad hoc committees, you usually have an end date, so.
Okay, that's great. So one other thing that we talked about when that committee was here is that we were going to look at moratorium for the old bylaw. Is that something that this council can talk about? Or can we deal with it in the ad hoc committee?
Okay, go ahead.
Councillor Ainsworth, if I am understanding, I'm going to say that I think we need to have a bylaw. This is a huge issue. It's a huge issue provincially. We have to have a bylaw, and that I don't want to be without one. I take your point that we need to look at home businesses as well, but I think that's triggering a future discussion more so than anything specific right now, though.
Go ahead.
And because we have a bylaw in place, it would have to be council that would rescind that bylaw or put a hold on it. As it is now, you have a bylaw in place, and that's the rules that we as staff have to work with. But at any time, you can amend that bylaw, repeal it, and pass a new bylaw. So you may want to have your committee do its work, bring that report back to council, and then have council decide whether or not they want to keep the same bylaw, amend the bylaw, repeal it, pass a new bylaw.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
I think the timing is right, because this is something that can't linger. It's got to be, I don't think we want to get it complicated. I don't expect to have more than 3 or 4 meetings tops on this. And the other thing is, the only thing I was looking through, I really think it's great, the terms of reference. The only thing was the quorum. If we could just change it to 50+1. That was the only thing I would say, because the majority of people would think, well, what's the majority? And I guess the conflict of interest, with that, looking at this conflict of interest, if somebody is running an Airbnb and they're on the committee, and I just wonder if there's a conflict there for them.
I don't think there's, go ahead.
Because they're getting money however this goes from their rental.
So I think to go back to when council was looking to create this committee, you wanted people that were in the business, people that were opposed to it, and maybe people that were neutral. I have dealt with aggregate committees where we had people that were in the aggregate business and people that were opposed to it, and they were able to
Okay.
work together. And then you do need a strong chair, whoever that chairperson is, to make sure that both sides are always heard. And they're making a recommendation to council. So then in the end, it's council that's going to make that final recommendation.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
you're gathering input from both sides.
Mhm. But I just thought of that.
And when is this group gonna get together?
That's
We'll get that up.
the, what's our next step then? Just putting it out there to everybody for a date, what date works?
So if council want to amend this, you can do so today. And then we can contact the members and you can give me some dates that you'd like to meet, and then I can schedule it for you. So, and I'm assuming that you and I talked about it, Deputy Mayor Stover, about an evening meetings, so
Be the best, even if there's one person.
Okay. So go ahead.
Two things. One, you mentioned about quorum, but I'm wondering if it should just read that they all work within the procedural bylaw. I know that's what we've put in other committees' mandates, and I think it'll,
Is that half plus one?
I'm not sure what quorum is in the procedural bylaw,
I think it is.
but I believe so. And then in the principles, I'm wondering if we should add maybe something about residential units aren't going to be lost to becoming, because we're in the middle of a housing crisis, and if they are used exclusively as STRs, that's something which the current bylaw says that we don't want that to happen in the future, that we lose housing that way. And I think out of things there that I'd like to keep, that's one of the principles I'd like to see carried forward.
Did we have that one too?
I thought it was there, but
Just looking in the principles.
It's there in terms of the days, but you know, to the maximum number of days, we could even just put in brackets there, you know, not exclusively an STR.
And when I think of it, I think there was a mistake on the minimum number of days.
oh, I changed that. Why did it not?
Because we want to make sure that people prevent them from running, make sure that they aren't just running into a Friday night, Saturday night, or a long weekend and then leaving. If we can prevent that, because that's where you run into problems, or could potentially run into more problems than that, I think. So was that in there?
I thought I changed that.
You do have it, you have it maximum number of rental days per year, minimum number of rental days per year in the mandate.
It should be
Mandate.
per year, or I think it should have been per rental. Minimum number of days in a rental, preventing it from being somebody coming in on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, and then leaving. Oh, I see. Okay. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That was a concern that
Yeah.
those people.
And
I guess, and to carry on, did everybody get my, finally
yes,
got that information?
are we able to send that out to the members that
That's up to. As far as I'm concerned, you should, but that's,
Yeah.
it's up to you guys.
did Pat get a copy of
Yeah.
that? That was really good resource material.
So, all in favor?
So, just one other question.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, go ahead.
So Councillor Ainsworth had made a note about all committee members being open-minded. So did you want something?
I think you got that in.
say something to the effect that they are to be unbiased.
Yeah, in that
Yes.
explanation part.
It talks about the expulsion of members. I think that would be the chair or maybe you two at the start of the meeting to just explain what Pat said. And hopefully you have a strong chair to say, we're not going to put up with nonsense, that we're all going to work together to get an answer, and probably explain 17 to them, because I know in the meetings or the conferences that we went to, John and Joan, there was actually people that were removed from both sides of the committee because they weren't getting along with each other. And it's like, well, we're not going to have that. So you're going to be asked to leave.
And then one ad hoc committee just dissolved. It's finished.
Yeah. So I think if you explain that to them, these are the ground rules and this is everything, I think most people, adults, will get that, right?
That answers your question?
Yep.
All in favor? Motion carried. Next, we're going to a council report from Pat Kemp, clerk, dated February 16th, 2023, regarding the development charge bylaw.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So at council's meeting on January 19th, Bob Clark had presented a report to you on the development charges. And out of that meeting, a resolution was passed. And if council, part of the resolution was for staff to set up a public meeting. So in order for me to set up a public meeting, I have to provide 20 days notice. And if council are in agreement to proceed with the public meeting, I'm suggesting either the dates of March 15th or March 29th. Now, if we're going to go with March 15th, I have to get the ad to the paper first thing, either late this afternoon or first thing tomorrow morning. But as part of that discussion, there was the talk about the justified amounts. So I believe, Mr. Mayor, you had some things you wanted to address regarding that. So I need the direction in order for me to proceed with the notice. So.
Yeah, I guess my concern was after, and I talked with Nicole, and she had expressed some concerns as well. That Mr. Clark had recommended that we only go to 50% of the non-residential justifiable cost. Because we were standing way out on left field as far as being able to attract for the business. I should say for attract, but it would make it very difficult for businesses that wanted to start up here, come here versus going to some of our local other municipalities. So by cutting it in half, that would bring us into the same, relatively the same stage.
That too.
Yeah. So I think it was. Really good right down there.
So
Unless Nicole, are you there?
no.
Okay, Pat, go ahead.
So it was $108.94 at the 100%. And if you went with the 50%, it would be $54.47. So in comparison, Hamilton Township is $56.08. Crammy is $20.08. Trent Hills is $73.89. So just to give council an idea.
Okay. Anybody got any thoughts or comments? Mary Chapman?
Just that they're going to be changing theirs as well. So we're they're looking and saying, well, all of them it needs to be. So it would be interesting to know where they are headed versus where we are headed. And isn't that part of why we're having the public meeting so that the public can comment on this?
So if we go ahead with the justified rates that we have now, and then you decide to change it, then you'll have to have a second public meeting. I think that's why Nicole and Mr. Clark were looking at whether or not council wanted to go with the justified rate, or if you wanted to go at 50% of that. So you only have one public meeting. Doesn't matter to me if you want to have more than one public meeting, that's up to council. So.
Well, I'm happy if that's what they're recommending, then I say that that's what we should go for. If that's what Mr. Clark's recommended, these are expert, and I'm no expert on development charges neither, but that's what his recommendation was.
To you, Mayor Logal, he
Yep.
did mention the half as well. So I
Yes.
mean, it's in there.
Anybody else have any comments?
Sorry, what page?
I did it 44 times, so you shouldn't.
Commercial industrial on 167? Is that where we're looking?
It's I think it's above that. It says a very really plain in the back of it, but
Oh, that's the water system one.
It's at the bottom of page 166. Development charge calculation non-residential, and then it goes on to 167.
That was the one I was looking at.
I think
So where?
if you go to page 227. And under the non-residential. He's got industrial, commercial, institutional. Charge at 50% reduction. That was one place it was, but it was really there too.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
to clarify, we're looking at whether we think that 108 is the right number,
Yes.
but we don't have the updated ones for the other municipalities or what they're anticipating in their review.
We've got what they have currently now. And I did find that place, if you look on page 166
Mhm.
or page 15 of the report, it says we would suggest that if a non-residential charge is to be made, this development charge should be applied to institutional uses at the rate of 50% of the non-residential charge. The justified charge for the Grafton, and then it goes on to talk about the Grafton water. But there definitely says 50%. So that's what I would be recommending to do.
Mhm.
You need to move for that?
Or you want to do that?
Yeah.
Moved by Councillor Ainsworth. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover, that we put in 50% of the non-residential rate. Further discussion?
But that's the 108, right?
It's half of a week,
So it'll be 54.47.
54.47, yes. Further discussion? Mayor Captain?
I think these are rates that were based on the outgoing ones. I see all the urban areas are already higher than us. I'm willing to entertain some decrease from the 108, but I do not see why we would make it as low as half of it.
The town of Coburg is 119. The township of Hamilton is 56. Grammy Township is 20. The municipality of Print Hills is 73, so
Well, I would say that 73 seems more reasonable to me than 54. I mean, 54 is low even by previous standards. What is it currently for us, by the way? I can see currently what it is for everyone else.
I don't think that is.
I'll have to look.
You know,
I would have it in that report. Just give me a second.
I don't think.
Okay, for reference, if we look at that total, the current total of 6,850 square meters, if we leave it at 108, that's $746,239 in taxes. And if we reduce it, it would be $373,188. So we're looking at quite a substantive change there.
Oh. So it has non-residential is $18.04.
Non-residential $18.04.
Yeah.
And we're going up to 54.
Or 108. Depending on
Or
what.
we cut it in half. We'll be down to 54. I recall him saying that's very, very expensive.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Jumping up that high and we're not, maybe the 50% is the way to go.
Professional recommendation.
Yep.
Mhm.
So we do have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, which is to reduce the rate to 50% of the
Non-residential.
Non-residential.
justified. All in favor? Motion is carried, opposed?
Can
Motion
I
is carried.
just leave it because I don't really feel 100% I knew enough? What's that one called? I'm sorry, when I don't choose to vote. Because I didn't, I abstained because I didn't feel like I had enough knowledge to make that decision.
So the other decision council needs to make is if you want to have your development charge public meeting on the 15th of March, or the other date I had was the 29th.
Fine.
That's a 7 o'clock meeting.
Yes.
15th of March is, that's the, set the,
That's a Wednesday.
That is
March
March
break.
break. Oh, so did you want to go to the 29th?
I'm fine with the 29th.
Plus the 15th, we have a water meeting already at 3, and this meeting's gonna be at 7, right?
Yes.
So the 29th would probably be better.
Yeah, that'll work.
Set it for 29th.
29th?
Need a motion for that?
Yes, please.
Motion to hold that meeting on the 29th, public meeting for the development charges. Mover by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Further discussion?
7 PM?
7 PM. All in favor?
Nope, John,
Carry.
I had something I wanted to bring up. The motion. So, through you, Mayor Logo, so just, couple things for, with the motion on the meeting. Can we, so again, I use my wife to go on the website and go see if you can find the public meeting for the budget. She couldn't find it. So can we get more, you know, better promotion on our public meetings through our website, social media?
So we can put a banner on the website. So as soon as you go on, it'll flash up and say public meeting for development charges, whatever the date is and the time. We also are going to be putting in a newspaper ad. And we also will put it on social media and on our website. So.
Okay, great.
That's the development one. I think he's referring to the other one tonight.
Well, yes, I was, but I don't, I mean, that meeting's tonight, so hopefully we can learn from that and move forward with a better promotion of our public meetings.
Go ahead, Mary Galvin.
Was a reminder put on our Facebook today that there is the meeting this evening?
I don't know, but I'll
But
text Jen
I
right
mean,
now.
we could do that
Or
at
you can
least.
text Jen right now.
I'll take care of it.
Please.
Because I don't believe it's out there.
Okay, next is
Oh, sorry.
12-4.
John, sorry. I forgot one thing with my, so the other thing that I just through that whole, I mean, I have a number of concerns, but when we get back to council from the public meeting, I can bring them up, but can we explain to the public that none of this is edged in stone? Because I can see us getting a bunch of negative feedback from it.
Development charges.
Yeah. So can we just kind of put something on our, on the media release or the social media to say that, you know, this is your chance to get your 2 cents in. Nothing here is edged in stone, so they don't come here thinking that they're already getting, and they have to come and kind of fight to stop it. You know, if I'm saying that right. Well, development charges are a lot of money when if people are building on a lot, right? So it's another $14,000 out of their budget, right? So you're going to have some people come in here that's, you know, maybe got some of these lots that are sitting there that haven't been built on in the last 10 years that are, you know, someone might start thinking about it and see this going on. So all I'm just saying is that if we promote it properly to say that, you know, this is not edged in stone, you know, we have a chance to, you know, look at the whole picture. You know? Does that make sense?
That's, I don't know. Go ahead, Guy.
So typically with something like this, because we're asking for public input, we would make them aware that prior to any decisions being made by council, that they're asking for input from the public. So we can
Yeah.
try to put some wording in there to make them aware that it's not the final
Yeah.
decision. It will be information gathering for council to make the final decision.
Yeah, perfect.
And Bob will be here to explain all of that too, right?
Yes, he'll be in the.
Yep.
minutes.
And if they bought something 10 years ago, if they, 7 or 10 years ago, they would have to pay the charges at the time. you know?
Difference, the difference.
If they haven't built, they won't. Remember, we had that conversation that there's a number of lots that have been severed off that no one has done nothing with for years.
I guess they don't have to, they don't want to. they don't have to.
I guess the issue I would have with that is if you're sitting on the lot and it was worth 100,000 10 years ago, it's probably worth 200 and something thousand this year. So it's a give and take that. But I understand there will be some people that will complain, right? But it can be discussed that night. And I think, like Pat said, if she writes it the way that it sounds like it's input and we make the final decision.
Just to add to that, the only reason I brought it up is because when this came up the first time, I already had some emails about it. And that people weren't happy with it. And I just kind of reiterated, it's nothing's edged in stone right now. You're going to get your opportunity to come and say your piece.
I actually don't know if them building more homes or whatever, if that has some effect on residential lots or,
I'm sorry, pardon?
you know, the building more homes.
Oh,
It was had some
Yes.
effect on development charges too, but I'm not sure if it was, that's residential or is that more for affordable housing?
I believe though it would be impacted. We'd have to get Mr. Clark to verify, but I believe it would.
Yeah. Well, what's it called, there, Virginia?
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Okay,
Sorry, Mayor Logan.
yes,
It was that there's no development charges if you're renovating your home to include a second or a third unit. There would be 0 development charges on that. That was the change in Bill 23.
okay,
It's renewed.
thank you, Mayor Johnson. Now we're going to 12.4. Council report from Troy Gilmore, CAO dated February 16th, 2023 regarding the township aggregate pit use. Troy, go ahead.
Through your worship, yes, it's just a request from Department of National Defense to utilize our forest property at our township pit for a 2-week period. As stated in the report, there'll be no gunfire or anything like that. They just want to set up a camp, excuse me, and do a reenactment as if you know, they're housing a group of people for a long period of time. For example, first couple days would be, you know, the reenactment of a couple days into an event. You know, day 3 and 4, they would move it to, you know, 6 months and stuff. So it's an exercise that it is just basically camping for 2 weeks in our pit, and they're just looking for council's permission to utilize it. We're still able to, you know, have our trucks go in and out of the pit. So, and as I said in the report, if approved today, they will make sure all the residents in that area are notified. They cover all their own insurance and so on and so forth. So they just sort of need to know, because it is quite a bit of planning. So they just need to know if, you know, they're able to use our property.
So I'll read the motion. Be resolved, the Council of Township of Elm McCollum received a report from the Chief Administrative Officer dated February 16th, 2023 regarding the township aggregate pit use and approved the request from the Department of National Defense. Mover and a second, moved by Councilor Ainsworth. Second by Councilor Booth. Councilor Ainsworth, do you have a comment?
Yes, to you, Mayor Lowell. So Troy, I wonder if there's like, because this will probably be very interesting for the neighbors. So I wonder if they could put in like a little observation spot for people kind of come and watch what they do. If that's possible.
Through your worship, yeah, I think that's a great idea, a great suggestion. The people I'm dealing with are phenomenal people, and yeah, that could be something. It's, you know, they're doing it out in the public. It's not like a private, you know, event going on. So, you know, that could be, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
we
definitely
should-
mention it.
As council, we should all go and spend an hour or two with them, just see what's going on.
Yeah, I'd love to see it myself.
Yeah, I'd be
This
there.
is on. This is on County Route 29.
That's correct.
I have two questions, just in case there's a fire ban, what effect would that have on this?
They're using no fire whatsoever. They do have cooking stoves and stuff that the fire chief will go out to and make sure everything is good there. So,
Okay.
Yep.
I can't remember what
Yeah, I'm doing.
but they will respect all township bylaws. So they did say that. So,
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments? All in favor of that? Motion is carried. Troy, you got a place to stay or visit? And I think that that is a good idea. That
yeah, I love it. Great idea.
I
I'll
think they
mention that.
Probably
And-
enjoy that.
And if it works out, again, can we publicize that in our social media? Right? Cause I think it just would be a good, like what's the word I'm thinking of, you know, relations
Yeah,
buildership.
no, that's great. Great idea. I'll be speaking with them tomorrow now and I'll have an answer quite soon.
Okay, 13, communications. We've got correspondence from Northumberland County dated January 25th, 2023 regarding the Northumberland County Council resolution for the CN Railway contributions and impact on municipal drain infrastructure. Be resolved the correspondence from the Northumberland County dated January 25th, 2023 regarding Northumberland County Council resolution CN contributions and impact on municipal drain infrastructure be received and filed. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Any questions or discussions? Go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor Logan, I just wonder if you can explain what this is a little more.
Yes, I can. I'd be happy to do that. There was two municipalities in Western Ontario that they were concerned about some of the railway crossings underneath the railway crossings. They had some culverts. And they thought that the CN should be contributing to those costs. And they said, that's not our responsibility. If you want to fix your culverts underneath the tracks, and that's your baby, not ours. Which to me doesn't make any sense at all. But so that's what it was about.
So that's gonna set the criteria for everything. Like throughout Ontario,
Yes.
for all the municipalities. Yeah, okay.
So basically, this was just sent to all of the municipalities in Northumberland County that had railway tracks going through them, so they could have their 2 cents opinion on it. Go ahead, Mary Gallagher.
Well, I appreciate your explanation. It made a little more sense. CN's got to have an investment in this because I know culverts are a hot issue here, but for them, imagine the tracks thinking where the culverts. Sorry. Sorry, CN. Can't imagine they want to go down that road.
Well, I probably think you're 100% correct, and that's why they should be involved in it. They should be paying. Next one is correspondence from Ontario Farm. Oh, all in favor of that? Received, file. Carried. Correspondence from the Ontario Farmland Trust dated February 1st, 2023 regarding the 2023 Ontario Farmland Forum. Be resolved that the correspondence from the Ontario Farmland Trust dated February 1st, 2023 regarding 2023 Ontario Farmland Forum be received and filed. Mover and seconded. Moved by Councillor O'Neill and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Next, we have correspondence from the Federation of Ontario Cottage Association, FOCA, dated January 31st, 2023, regarding the FOC Alert of January 2023. The next one is Heritage Alma Caldeman, HAH, regarding donation of a building of the township book to council. And finally, the AMO Communications dated February 2nd, 2023 and February 9th, 2023 regarding the AMO watch file. Mover to seconder. Deputy Mayor Stover, Councilor O'Neill. Any discussion on any of those? I'll make the comment, the FOCA was the other third person that made a presentation to us at the Roma conference. And it was all there. It was pretty interesting, actually, the information in this publication as well. Further discussion? Oh, go ahead there, Kathy.
I was going to pick up on that and say, you know, on a day when we don't have something to put up on our Facebook page, that information that we just received here would be an excellent one to just put out there, the link, because I found it very interesting and I'm not even a cottage owner, so.
I think that probably since the HOG board did give us donate a book to each member of council, it would be appropriate to send them a thank you. And anything else? All in favor? Carry. Bylaws. Bylaw number 17, 2023, being a bylaw to appoint members to the short-term rentals ad hoc committee for the township of Elmwood, Haldimand. And the bylaw number is bylaw number 17, 2023, being a bylaw to appoint members of the short-term rental ad hoc committee for the township of Elmwood, Haldimand, be read and deemed to be passed the 16th day of February 2023. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover. Seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Announcements and notices of motion. Today we start off with Deputy Mayor Joan Stover.
I just have two things that are coming up. February 23rd, 2023. The Coburg Y is having a seniors day. It's from 10 to 2. I'm not sure of the exact day. Pretty sure it's 10 to 2 speakers. There will be booths set up in the gym and other rooms. And the other one is, this is the Coburg YMCA. It's their seniors fair.
Oh, okay, good.
The other one is next Tuesday, February 21st. St. George's Church is having a pancake breakfast at 10. And all donations are going to Habitat for Humanity, and they will have some of the staff from Habitat there as well. And that's all I have for now.
Thank you, Joan. On the next, we got Councillor Ainsworth.
Just and Councillor O'Neill can jump in here too with me, is we had our first meeting with our Parks and Recs and Culture Committee, and looks like we got a real good group there, and lots of knowledge on different different life experiences and stuff that they've done. So we went through our terms of reference, and looks pretty good. Not too many changes or none at all, I don't think. And so we're moving forward with another meeting here right away to on the 27th, I believe, to start getting down to business. So
Okay.
so it's looking good.
I would only add to that they chose to defer the appointment of chair and vice chair to the meeting on the 27th.
Was there a reason for that? Or?
They just didn't know one another.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear that we got one going.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And if I wanted to go to that, how do I go? I can attend, but I can't vote. I can't pick, so.
Well,
Actually, all members of council can attend, right? But can't vote, I believe. Yeah, he can,
And
You wanna
can
sit in the
vote-
background
I
and-
could vote if there was, no one wasn't informed. Correct? If there was only one member of council there, I have a vote. Well, that's what procedure.
Yeah, it's in the procedure.
I think there's an ex officio clause in our terms of reference in there, right?
But I can't vote, I
Yeah.
cannot vote if there's only two members of council. I think. And Greg's right too, anybody and everybody can come to the meetings if they want. And by that I mean as members of council, but they cannot. vote.
Yep.
No action issue, whether it's 1, 2, or 5, correct?
Yeah, so all members of council can attend. You just have to be careful that you don't vote and also that you don't advance any township business.
So are they allowed to participate in discussions? Or do they just sit there and just
I
say
would say they would be observers.
observers? Okay, I just want to make sure. Yeah.
Obviously, we need to read our procedural bylaw again, all of us in here, but I think that he could actually take the place of one of us,
Yes.
and one of
Yes.
us have to sit and be quiet.
Yes.
That's kind of what it means.
That's how you establish. procedure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know the county. County members of council can sit on the board. They can ask questions as a member, but they are not allowed to vote unless they're on that. Which is basically what we're saying, except here we're saying they can't, they really shouldn't be participating in the conversation. And they all have to go, just like us, though, I guess they have to all have to go back to council. Basically what I'm saying, what they approve at those committee members, committee of council meetings are not council's decision. They all have to go to council to be approved. Go ahead, Greg.
I can read it right off for you because I was reading it last night. It says, any member of council may attend the meetings of any committee, but shall not be allowed to vote, nor may they take part in any discussion or debate except by permission of the majority of the members of the committee. So that would be the same, I think, as the public, right? If the public can attend and they wanted to speak, they could ask for permission, and if the majority allowed them to speak, they.
That's good.
We learned something today.
That's what I read it, right?
Boy.
Okay. Did you finish?
Yep.
Councilor O'Neill? Any questions or?
But anyway, yeah, I do have some things. First, today is Canada Agriculture Day, so I've thoroughly enjoyed my Facebook. Everybody's putting up their favorite farm picture, their little calves. Very wonderful, but certainly want to recognize the farmers of Alnwick Haldeman today. I did attend the Climate Caucus Summit on February 6th, and I know I sent the email out to you guys on council, but it is open also to staff. And a lot of the people that were in the group I was with were from the Western provinces. So it was a very interesting to see where they are on incorporating climate planning in there. Which they were all putting as part of their asset management plan, to be frank, and they were like, of course, it should be there. Anyway, it very good, and they have events, so I'm pleased. Mayor Lowe, you sent that to me at one point to join it. I think it's very worthwhile having joined it, and they have events that are specifically for staff, specifically for electeds, and then the one that the summit was everyone together. So anyway, and they have lots of information about possible resources to help us, including funding and guiding documents. So overall, a great event, worth the $26 it cost. Councillor Ainsworth already mentioned our first rec meeting, and we did have a delegation there interested in hosting carpet bowling for the seniors games. So he's now entered some discussions with Jennifer Steen, the program coordinator. So I'm sure we're going to hear more about that. And I think that's all I have now. Thanks.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Just a reminder to the public that on Monday, February the 20th, this Monday, it's a free public skate from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the arena. And that's sponsored by the A&H Firefighters Association. And I believe the money raised is going to the burn. I think is it for children or all?
I believe it was children.
So it's all the proceeds are going towards a good cause. So that's this Monday, 4 to 6, free public skate. That's it.
Okay, thank you. I got a couple of quick ones. Chamber of Commerce, I attended their AGM meeting this morning. We talked a little bit about the budget, and I told them we were proceeding along like we had hoped to be, and we were going to be hopefully finished tonight. Hamilton Township was there too. They talked about their budget being approved at 5.8%. The OPP are having, actually there's more than just the OPP, but I just found that out too. But the OPP are having a job fair in Brighton on the February the 21st from 2 to 6 p.m. And they are hoping to hire 400 OPP for the province. Commuter Connect, which is basically the project that have people using public transit throughout the town, throughout the county, where you can get a drive from Campbellford into Cobourg or wherever. That is being joined up with Eastern GTA, where basically people are wanting to get from Cobourg or Western Ontario, Western Northumberland into GTA, and those services are now being provided. And just as a comment, and I thought it was a pretty good idea, the warden and the deputy warden went to the county council yesterday using that service. So basically they hopped on the bus with the bullhorn and rode into county. So, and I think it's something that's pretty good, and if we can get more people promoting it and taking advantage of it, it'll be good for everybody. There was one other thing that I want. Oh, I'll mention real quickly, I did meet with the person from that's promoting the Parker subdivision. And he wants to get going as quick as we possibly can. And Jennifer may update us a little bit tomorrow or next week, but basically there's still the road. This project was approved 20 years ago, a subdivision of 12 houses, but they're just doing some final paperwork to get the road approved because there's a bit of a change. Other than that, it's a goal, and I think that's just about it. Go ahead, Mike.
Through you, Mayor Logan, just one more thing. When you're talking, it mentioned me here, and I was going to ask our CAO, our business cards. Can we get a stamp to put the "Let's Talk" on the back of them?
Yeah, I can, through your worship. Yeah, I can look at something like that. Sure.
I mean, we're handing out a lot of them, so that'd be great to have them right on the back there, because I was thinking there's no room on the front, so.
Yep, no. And when I was talking about signature and, next time we get cards, we can even put it right on.
Yeah.
On it. So, yeah, no, we'll look at something. Sure.
Okay. We're gonna go to closed session next, 16, and we'll need a motion to recess and go to into closed. Thank you for attending. I'll read the motion that the council of the Township of Alma-Calderwood will be recessing to a closed session under section 239(2) to consider position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality of a local board, and relative to the lease agreement between the Township of Elma Calderman and the Roseneath Agricultural Society with the CEO, clerk, and deputy clerk remaining in attendance, and we're going to do that at 3:48 PM. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Councilor Ainsworth and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Okay, who's taking us through
All in
this?
favor?
Pardon me?
All in favor?
Oh, all in favor, yes, okay. Thank you. And then we got a motion to no, we can't do that motion to reconvene, because we've got to get the other people. Okay,